I'm conscious of the late hour, but it's so nice to be here, and this is a way to keep you. After that, we are going to be separated. Thank you. Your Eminence, Metropolitan Stephanos, Your Eminence, Metropolitan Evangelos, Your Eminences, Metropolitans of our Archdiocese and members of the Holy Eparchial Synod, Metropolitans Iakovos, Methodios, Isaiah, Alexios, Nicholas, Savas, Gerasimos, Bishops, Antonios, Demetrios, and Sebastianos, Reverend Fathers, Madam President of the Philoptochos, Mr. Ambassador of Greece, co-presidents of this Clergy Laity Congress, Mr. Michael Karloutzos, Mrs. Anastasia Michaels, distinguished guests and brothers and sisters. This was a final moment, a culmination moment of a magnificent four-day meeting. We heard during the past hours greetings and presentations with significant thoughts from all people. Mrs. Mitchell, I appreciate especially something which is not usual for masters of ceremonies, which be the tremendous economy in language. Sometimes masters of ceremonies, in introducing people, they appear as if they are reading a eulogy. You were superb, just classic. Thank you. We heard something very important from Metropolitan Stephanos. I am sure you enjoy a very eloquent, very smoothly running Greek language, but I hope that you paid equal attention to the content, because Metropolitan Stephanos did something really very interesting and intriguing. He applied the four qualities of the Church as we have it in the Creed, the recitation of Creed. I believe in an holy, Catholic, and Apostolic Church. So he applied the concept of oneness, Catholicity, holiness, and apostolicity to the marriage, to the wedding. Said the wedding should be exactly a copy, a variation, like in a variation in music, of these four items. And Your Eminence, this text has to be translated. Metropolitan Evangelos offered also a very, very substantive text. Very substantive. I repeat the word. It needs to be, it is printed, it has to be on the website, available to all, because it displays some important ideas in a very synoptic form, which is an advantage. He said, I spoke a bit longer. I said, you spoke very briefly, because this type of ideas need space to be developed and presented. What can I say for our Vice President? I mean, he felt, although he had the written text, but I'm sure I was sitting there and I was looking at the turning of the pages. he simply departed many times from his text. He felt at ease to just improvise. And improvisations sometimes are very important things, and very important items. So he improvised, but he also offered the main ideas, talking about Greece, talking about the Patriarchate, talking about Cyprus. And if you noticed, he was extremely careful in making distinctions. He said, I say, or we say this not as applicable in a particular way in a special country or place. We say this as a basic, inalienable, fundamental principle that has to be applicable to any case. So he was able to combine general principles, but make them very specific for the specific cases. And I noticed the way he emphasized, if you noticed also, the increasing or decreasing of the volume of his voice. That was, again, another thing indicative of how much he felt. Of course, as he was leaving, we say goodbye to him. He expressed his thanks for the opportunity. We said, we thank you for what you did for us tonight. But as you noticed, he moved at ease. He said, my heart is a heart of a Greek, or a mind of a Greek. He didn't simply say that. He felt at ease here. He didn't speak to a distant, neutral, alienated, or sleeping audience. He talks to his family as a vice president. And so we thank not only for what he said in defense of the Patriarchate, Greece and Cyprus, but also for the presence, for the concern, for the expression of love. We went from Sunday morning in the liturgy to tonight in a succession of events, plenty of discussions. Mrs. Mitchell, you will be delighted to be here. It was a festival of speeches, discussions, conclusions that were formulated in an eloquent and very appropriate language. So it was such a festival of language and content of language. And you are a specialist in that. You have a husband, very well known. He's one of the most important people dealing with money in America in a more general sense. You are very well known for being a master woman in language as carrier of proper and precise information and not deviations or distortions of truth and events. Thank you for that too. It was a Congress of joy. Sometimes, and I have this question from some people, they say, is the gospel not something that brings joy? Why you are talking always about problems? Is that the gospel? Well, the problems come because we are human beings and we live still in a world that is wounded. But that was a 4 days of joy, really. Joy of being together, of loving each other, of dealing with the truth, of caring for the family, of offering something that would be really for the benefit of all of our 540 parishes all over the country. the Lord said, I'm giving you my joy. Χαράν την εμήν δίδομη ημίν. Είναι η χαρά ημών μένει, so that your joy will stay. We are the people of joy, not for entertainment. It's a good thing to have entertainment. It's ephemeral, it's passing. Joy is staying. And we are this type of people because we have God with us. And we have God with us in these 4 days. In the New Testament, there are 2 prevailing pictures or images of the kingdom of God. One is marriage, wedding. Remember, Christ is ο νυμφίος της Εκκλησίας, the bridegroom of the church. And the church is in nymphy. This is a marriage picture. And we know that in some of the early writings of the early church, the picture of wedding, the nuptial chamber, is always used as a prototype of the joy in the kingdom of God, because it involves the real union among the people, husband, wife, and then children, and the joy of the wedding. And the second picture is the picture of the dinner, the symposium, το δείπνο. This is, again, a very central image for the kingdom of God, and it has been used by Christ himself many times. It is in the literature of the church. It is in the hymnology of the church. So wedding and δείπνο, dinner. This is a dinner with which we finish. We are an image of the kingdom of God to come. And it's important that this is the ending of our Clergy Laity Conference, Clergy Congress. Wedding, family, and δείπνον, dinner, symposium, the very beautiful images, central images for the kingdom of God. So now, let's continue with our life. Symbolically, we continue at night. But we will make the night full of light, because we carry the light of God. And so we go to this night and to the days to follow, carrying the very important commitment to a Christian Orthodox family as a dwelling of Christ and as a witness of his gospel. But beyond that, as you remember, St. Paul, in the place where he spoke about the family being something named by God as substance and as name, he proceeded in saying, therefore I pray in my knees to God that you would be really rooted in faith, so that you would understand the love of Christ which surpasses any knowledge, so that finally we'd like to know the depth and width and height and of the love of God, and may be filled with all the fullness of God. Filled with all the fullness of God. This is the way we see reality. And it is this reality that makes us full of hope, full of future plans, in spite of what negative might happen around us, and sometimes far from us, in conditions of violence, oppression, deprivation of elementary rights, but being in this realm of Christ, being filled with all the fullness of God, we could face anything and anyone. May this God stay always with us, fill us, and may this God be present when we start the resurrection of our Church of St. Nicholas, and we finish the building of St. Nicholas, and entering this church, we could offer the doxology and the chant and the hymn of praise for the victory of life over death, of violence over peace, of love over hatred. May this God, this Christ, be always with us. And Your Eminence, again, please accept our deepest thanks, you and your very worthy co-workers and the co-chairman, for what you offer us for 4 days. Thank you.